Hello, and welcome back to Small Screen Stories. This is the daily show where I go over all the news of the day in the world of entertainment and pop culture. I'm Edward Lauder, I'm the editor of Small Screen, and let's just kick things off with the biggest and actually most surprising news of the day today, which was that Oscar Isaac is in talks to play Moon Knight in the upcoming Disney Plus series. So this is kind of came out of nowhere. This is massive. This was reported today by the Wrap. The article just went up on Small Screen a couple of minutes ago, and it's really interesting. It's a really interesting decision, and this is up on the site right now, and it's one of these things that just kind of it comes out of left field. The Wrap is, as far as I'm concerned, a very reputable outlet. Their scoops tend to be, or their exclusives tend to be real. You know, believe this as I mean, I take it for granted that this is happening. That he is in talks with Marvel and Disney to start as Moon Knight, aka Mark Spector, in the upcoming Moon Knight series. This is something that we've been really excited and looking forward to seeing. If you're a Moon Knight fan, I know that you guys will be really, really looking forward to this. He's kind of Marvel's answer to Batman. I think is kind of the elevator pitch for this series. But he is more than that. He is more than just a knockoff of Batman, Marvel's version of Batman. He's a really interesting character in his own right, and he's a character that I think a lot of people have been really looking forward to seeing in the MCU. And this is something that Kevin Feige's wanted to do for a long, long time. And of course, Oscar Isaac has he has a history of working with Disney. He of course starred in the Star Wars, the recent Star Wars trilogy as Poe Dameron. So he knows what's going on. He knows how they operate, and they know him. But he's got a lot of stuff on at the moment. If you're looking at the stuff that he's going to be starring in the future, he's starring in Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I mean, he probably won't be in the second movie because, well, if you know anything about the character, then you know what happens, but I'm not going to spoil that for you. He's also adapting Brian K. Vaughan's Ex Machina, which is going to be retitled The Great Machine, because, of course, Oscar Isaac was in a brilliant film by Alex Garland called Ex Machina. And he's also going to be playing a young Francis Ford Coppola in Francis and the Godfather, which is about the making of The Godfather, the movie The Godfather, and that's going to be directed by Barry Levinson. So he's got a lot of stuff coming out. He's also just finished shooting The Card Counter, which is Paul Schrader's new movie, and he's attached to star in a film called London, which is being directed by Ben Stiller. So there's a lot of stuff on for Oscar Isaac. So he's a very busy man, but he's reportedly going to be starring in as Mark Spector in the Moon Knight series, which is as far as I'm concerned, fantastic news, because he is an actor that I personally think is probably one of the best and most interesting actors working in Hollywood today. He always takes on really interesting projects, and he's someone that is also a fan of this sort of stuff. He often says that he's a geek, that he's a nerd, that he loves this sort of stuff, that he loves comic books, that he loves comic book movies. He's a massive Star Wars fan. He plays video games. He's somebody that understands this world, which is why I, as a fan, I'm really interested to see this, to see his take on Mark Spector. It's a really interesting character, and it's a really interesting choice for the role. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Right, moving on, and we're going to move on to our exclusive of the day, which is that, which is that Zack Snyder and HBO are developing a Justice League 2. So this is something that was brought to me this weekend, actually, by one source, and then two other sources confirmed that this was happening. And this is, this probably should be that surprising, since Zack Snyder is currently working on his version of Justice League, which is going to be a 4-part series on HBO Max. But it's rumored that it will then be released as a movie further down the line. It won't be a 4-hour movie. It will be cut down slightly, but the full version will be on HBO Max to watch, the full 4-part series. And according to our sources, so I'll get up the quotes here, Snyder and HBO Max are already talking about making a Justice League 2. As it stands, it'll be another 4-part series as opposed to one movie. It might end up being released as a movie later on. So that was what was told to me on the weekend. And then today, two independent sources came to me and said Justice League 2 is in the works at HBO Max. Zack Snyder is already working on a script with Chris Terrio, who's the writer of Justice League, and I believe he also wrote Man of Steel. He wrote Batman vs Superman. And a third source who didn't want to be direct quoted, which is fine. I always ask them if they want to be, but he said that HBO is very keen to get the likes of Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, and Ray Fisher back to play their DC Comics characters. What was interesting was that Ezra Miller and Jared Leto were not mentioned in this. So that I believe that was something that, I mean, it could very easily just be one of those things. It could be something that is like it just wasn't mentioned because they forgot to mention it. I have asked them. I have got back to them since and asked them for more information, but haven't heard anything yet. But there is some more news that's going to come later on this week. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I'll get some more confirmation on things that are happening in the DC Comics universe and specifically with HBO Max. Some very, very interesting things happening there. But what do you guys think of this news? Is this something that you've been looking forward to? We already know that Zack Snyder was going to be supposedly releasing Justice League in 2 parts, and he also claimed that he had ideas for 4 other Justice League movies. So the guy's obviously full of ideas. Is something that he really loves, and it's he's a fan of this, and I am not the biggest fan of his previous movies, but I think they were a darn sight better than Justice League and Suicide Squad, and they were far more visually arresting than any of those movies. And I want to see his vision of the Justice League. And I know there are a lot of people out there that share that want to see him get to finish his vision, and maybe it's not finished after this film. I mean, I know it's going to be a 4-hour-long movie, but he's obviously got other ideas, and it's exciting. I think it's exciting, and it looks like HBO Max is going to become that kind of place where DC Comics fans really will go to watch these sorts of movies and TV shows that are all centered around DC Comics characters. More on that later on, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Right. Moving on to Ryan Reynolds. So this is according to Grace Ranoff. Ryan Reynolds is very, very excited to be shooting additional photography for Zack Snyder's Justice League. So this hasn't been confirmed as of yet. I will put that out there. No, it's not confirmed that he is coming back, or even, sorry, not coming back because he wasn't in Justice League, but coming to play the Green Lantern in Justice League. Nothing has been confirmed as far as that's concerned, but according to Grace Ranoff, now I'll get up her what she said here. She said, and here's Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. Snyder Cut's update. Hearing he really wants to do, just as a matter of fitting into his busy schedule. Deal ready to go. Again, just need to make it work time-wise. Would be brilliant and so great for everyone involved to find that time. That's what she said. But is it something that we want? I mean, again, I think I've spoken about this at length, at great length, Ryan Reynolds and Green Lantern, but the 2011 movie almost finished his career. Is it really something that he wants to throw himself back into? He, of course, jokes a lot about it. He jokes a lot about the Green Lantern and how it almost ended his career. He even put jokes in the first Deadpool movie about Green Lantern. But again, if it's Zack Snyder, if it's a good vision, maybe there's something there that he could really sink his teeth into, and maybe it's just a passing, like a fleeting moment. I don't know. I have been asking around, but I haven't heard anything back about this. But according to Grace, it's happening, and they're just trying to fit it into their schedules, which I think would be fun. We already know that Jared Leto is coming back to play the Joker, which was mad, absolutely insane news. I liked the news personally. I think it would be interesting to see him get to play the role again. I mean, I am not a fan of his take on Joker, but you know what? I'm up for giving people a second chance. So let's give him a second chance and see what happens. As far as Ryan Reynolds is concerned, the film, it wasn't bad because of him. Let's just say that he isn't a bad Green Lantern. It was just a bad movie. There was no plan. People were all over the place. There was no script ready. It was a mess. It was a complete mess of a movie. So maybe give him a second chance. He could do a much, much better job. Let's wait and see if it happens. What do you guys think? Would you guys like to see Ryan Reynolds come back as the Green Lantern in Zack Snyder's Justice League? Let me know in the comments below. Moving on to another rumor is that HBO Max is rumored to want Gal Gadot to guest star on their Wonder Girl series. So this again is it ties into what I was saying before about how HBO Max is, or HBO and AT&T, their parent company, are really looking to utilize these DC comic book properties as much as they can. And we already heard of the Batman Beyond series, which is apparently a go now at HBO Max. They've got Michael Keaton signed on to star as Bruce Wayne. And now, apparently, they're also working on a Wonder Girl series. So this comes from Geekosity, who Mike Sutton, he's the scooper over there. And he's claiming that it'll be the same Wonder Girl that we saw in the Titans series. So if you haven't seen Titans, maybe look away now or turn off the audio or do something, because spoilers are coming. Okay, I can go now. I've told you spoilers are coming, and that's that Wonder Girl dies towards the end of season 2, but they do take her back to Themyscira to resurrect her. She will be resurrected. She will come back. But this apparently is going to be aside from this. It wasn't clear in the report whether it was going to be the same actress that played Wonder Girl, but apparently, according to them, HBO Max is really, really interested in making a Wonder Girl series and getting Gal Gadot to guest star as Wonder Woman in the show. But then again, they also added that this wouldn't take place in the same on the same Earth, let's say, as the DCEU movies. This would be set in the multiverse and on another Earth within the multiverse. So it would be the same, but not really the same, which is how it looks like. This is what they're going to be doing with a lot of the TV shows. It looks like that's what they're going to do with Batman Beyond, and it looks like that's what this is all going to be introduced in the upcoming Flash movie, which is going to have it's going to have Ben Affleck's Batman, it's going to have Michael Keaton's Batman, and it's going to have the Flash played by Ezra Miller. And they're all on different Earths apart from Ben Affleck and Ezra Miller, of course. But it's going to introduce the multiverse into the DC Comics universe, which then will give them more scope to make different series that are tied into one another. We've already seen this happen on the CW DC Comics TV shows, The Flash, Arrow, all those things, DC Legends of Tomorrow. All those shows, they have an element of the multiverse in them, especially The Flash. So it's something that they're going to try and replicate in these upcoming DC Comics TV shows. But what do you guys think? Would you guys like to see Wonder Woman guest star in a Wonder Girl series? Would you guys like to see a Wonder Girl series? Is that something that you're interested in? Let me know in the comments below. So what in the next story is probably the most bizarre story I've ever had to cover on small screen, and that's that the Meg 2 has a director, but you're not going to believe who the director is. It's Ben Wheatley. But Ben Wheatley is a director that I have a lot of time for. I think he's fantastic. I've recently watched Rebecca, which is his latest movie that is now on Netflix, which stars Lily James and Armie Hammer. It's been it's got mixed reviews, let's say, because it's difficult not to compare that film to Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca. It's not fair to do that, I think, because I'm familiar with the book, and Ben Wheatley has said on multiple occasions that it's an adaptation of the book, not the Hitchcock movie, which is fine. But you're making a Rebecca movie, so you will inevitably, people will still compare it to the Rebecca movie that Hitchcock made, and I believe it was 1940. But if I'm wrong, please correct me on that. But according to Variety, Ben Wheatley has agreed to direct the sequel to 2018's Meg. So this is this is something that to me was just nuts, because Ben Wheatley is the guy that made Kill List. He's the guy that made A Field in England. He made Sightseers. He made High Rise. He made Free Fire. These are kind of ballsy movies. Like Kill List is scary. It's a really scary horror movie. Field in England is so strange. Sightseers is strange as well. They're all kind of entrenched and seeped in horror. And of course, the Meg, originally, it was going to be a horror movie, like a really like nasty horror movie with Eli Roth directing, and then he ended up leaving, and it was kind of turned into. I mean, again, I'm going to be honest here. Full disclosure, I quite liked The Meg, but that's because I like Jason Statham, and the idea of him hunting, as he would call it, a megalodon, is something that really spoke to me. But I can never say the director's name. John Turteltaub. I butchered that, but he's the guy that directed the first one, and he won't be directing the next one. And bringing in Ben Wheatley, to me, is actually a really interesting direction to go because, a lot of this movie is, of course, funded by Chinese money. It's a movie that has a lot of Chinese backing. So there is probably money involved. Yes, granted. But Ben Wheatley is someone that everything he makes, even a Rebecca movie, he keeps that kind of eeriness, which I really, really like. And this is something that could really play well into the Meg 2. Apparently, they're reporting that Jason Statham will be back, the Stath, and I love the Stath, so I'm in for this anyway, no matter what. But Jason Statham and Ben Wheatley working together is something that I cannot wait to see. I can't wait to see Statham fight more megalodons. And I can't wait to see what Ben Wheatley does with this property, because it's fascinating. It's fascinating that he's agreed to sign on onto this movie, and it's something that I am really, really looking forward to seeing now that he's involved. I would have seen it anyway, regardless, but Ben Wheatley directing the Meg. What do you guys think? Is this something that you're interested in? Did you like the first movie? Are you a Jason Statham fan like me? Are you a Ben Wheatley fan like me? Let me know in the comments below. So moving on, and we're going to move on to Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 4, or Part 4 as they're calling it at the moment. And full disclosure, this is one of my... I just love this show. I love the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, or they just call it Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, because I think it's one of those shows, it kind of mixes it's like, I tend to call it a mixture of the Haunting of series with Riverdale. And I'm kind of a fan of both shows, to be honest, but I think I think they strike a really good balance with this show. It's like there are elements of it. It is kind of spooky. I think I'm blanking on her name right now, but the girl that plays Sabrina in it is fantastic. I think it's got a brilliant cast. I think it had so much potential to go even further than 4 seasons. It was cancelled by Netflix, and we know now that this is the last season, which is a shame. It's, things get cancelled. Netflix cancels things. They're really brutal with their shows. I'm pretty sure they have a lot of numbers internally that kind of decides this. They can see that maybe people are dropping off slightly, which is to be expected. If it comes into its 4th season, it's to be expected that it has fewer viewers than it did to begin with, especially if it's also Netflix. The way they release shows, I think it's not always the best way. They tend to just release things and then they're kind of gone within like a flash. But 4 seasons is still a very good run. So well done to them. But apparently they're being given a final season, or final part, as they're calling it, to really wrap up the story and wrap it up nicely, which is nice. I think that's a nice thing to do. At least they gave them one more season, and we now know that the final season will be coming to us on December 31st, 2020, which is actually a lot sooner than I thought it was going to come. And there's a pretty cool trailer that's on YouTube now that they released today, and it announces that date. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about it because it's a show that I really do love, and I know lots of people out there love it as well. And it's something that I'm sad that it's ending, but also I'm really intrigued to see how they finish it, and also to see how it does, whether people are really that interested in Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Let me know in the comments below. Final story of the day, and it's witches related as well, is that Hocus Pocus 2 is happening, which we already knew, but the original 3 witches, according to Bette Midler, are returning to star in it. And that's fantastic because Hocus Pocus is, can I call it a guilty pleasure? Well, first off, I only watched it pretty recently, so I'm going to be completely honest with you here. Full disclosure, I only watched it a couple of days ago for the first time. Yes, I know that's not great, but I've got Disney Plus, and it's on Disney Plus, and it looks like a lot of people have been rediscovering it or discovering it on Disney Plus, And Bette Midler was talking to Good Day New York. And during that interview, they asked her about Hocus Pocus 2. And she said, they want to make a movie, they as in Disney. They've asked us if we were interested. And of course, all of us said, yes, I'm game. I'm totally game. So that means that they're all, the original cast of Hocus Pocus are all going to come back. So that's Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker. And again, I'm blanking on the name of the third witch. Who plays the third witch? I'm going to have to look it up. Sorry. The original film was Kenny Ortega that directed it. I'm blanking on the name, but I'm pretty sure you guys will all. Kathy Najimy, yeah, and I probably butchered her name as well. But you know what? It looks like a second movie is happening, which is actually really interesting because if you've watched the end of Hocus Pocus, then you'll know that it doesn't end very well for the witches. And but it's one of those movies that seems to have just kind of had a resurgence recently. I mean, it's the first Halloween that we've had Disney Plus, which means people are probably rediscovering these kind of more Halloween-based movies now because there's easy access to them. It hasn't been easy to watch Disney films in the past, unless you have like the Disney Channel or you shelled out a lot of money on DVDs, which is what Disney does or did. It wasn't that easy. So more access has meant that more people have watched these films. More people are watching Hocus Pocus. More people are watching Halloween Town, which is my personal favorite of these Disney. Oh, well, actually, no, my personal favorite is A Nightmare Before Christmas, which is another kind of it's a Disney film, and it's kind of, you can watch it at Halloween and Christmas time. So it's, you know, October and December are great months for The Nightmare Before Christmas. But as Bette Midler was saying, Hocus Pocus 2 is happening, which I think is fantastic, and it's happening with the original witches, and that's what I believe that's what everybody wanted. And with that, well, actually, first off, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Are you looking forward to a Hocus Pocus 2? Let me know. But with that, that's going to be the end of today's stream. You can follow Small Screen everywhere at Small Screen GB. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can also watch these on YouTube, these videos that I post. You can also listen to it as a podcast, and that's Small Screen Stories. You can find that everywhere now, everywhere where you get your podcasts. You can follow me, Edward Lauder, at EJ Lauder on Twitter. Also, if you want to write for us, I say this every time, but we have loads of freelance writers that are brilliant. But, you know, I'm always looking for more feature ideas. You can pitch to me at hello@small-screen.co.uk. Send over your ideas, anything pop culture related, movies, TV shows generally. But we also do some video game stuff. Yeah, send it my way, and I'll look at it and I'll respond. But thank you so much for watching and listening, guys. And I'll be back here tomorrow. Thank you and good night.